Indeed it is. A hot one, too. We welcome now into the Element Wealth studio here at the Neshoba County Fair, the Secretary of State of the great state of Mississippi, Michael Watson. Good to see you, Mr. Secretary.
So good to be here. We came up yesterday, and one of the first things I always do is go over to the Founders Square and smell the sawdust. It reminds me when I come up here in the summer times and Moxipata with my grandfather, I always worked in the shop.
Gotcha.
And so my job was to clean out the saws and sweep up the sawdust, and I got $0.25 an hour. And I remember those paychecks at the end of the week, and I go buy fishing gear and hit the lake.
Uniquely Mississippi.
That's exactly right.
You can't explain this to anybody. How do you describe this?
You can't. It's fantastic.
You have to experience it for yourself. And even though this is not a year where we will be going to the polls in November to elect our statewide offices, it is a year where we're going to be electing federal offices. Maybe as a result, the crowds are pretty good here.
Yeah. Yesterday, I heard they're a little down from normal. Today, they look great.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, we've got to make sure that we don't take our focus off elections here in Mississippi. Yes, the federal elections are this year, presidential, but don't forget the Supreme Court races. The judicial races are so important to our state. So we've got to make sure we're focusing on those, and it's elections across the board that we need to focus on. And sometimes I think we get, again, fixated by this national and federal conversation, and we forget about the city council races that are coming up next year. We forget about the school board elections, and those are the ones that can impact your life much more quickly than that federal level. So we've got to pay attention to all elections. I think it's really important.
No doubt. So your office, of course, the Secretary of State, has overall responsibility for conducting elections in our state. And then, of course, you've got folks who were elected at the county levels that administer those in accordance with our law and policies. I saw you speak this morning here to the Mississippi Republican Women, the Federation of Republican Women, talking about election integrity. I know you have a passion for that. You and I talk about it every time you come on the program. It couldn't be more important.
It is the bedrock, the foundation of our country, making sure that our elections are fair and secure. And it's something that we won't ever rest on, and there's no finish line. You know, when we see things that we can react to or hopefully proactively attack here in our state, we got to continue looking around the country. What's going on in other states? And we want to make sure that doesn't happen in Mississippi. So the job's never done. You got a lot of good folks in our office. Kyle Kirkpatrick on our elections team, from him on to Lee Janis, our general counsel. There's so many people that work hard at this, and it's really important for us to have good people in the office. So they deserve just as much, if not more, credit than me. But we'll never let up on that issue. It's one that Mississippians are interested in. It always brings questions when I go speak in places. So something that we'll continue to focus on.
So if a voter, Mr. Secretary, shows up at their precinct to cast a ballot and they just see something, observe something that just looks suspicious, should they call your office?
Absolutely. And that's one of the things that people say, well, you know, I don't know really what I can do in election space to make sure it's more secure. Oh, yes, you can. When you go to the precincts, you're our eyes. I can't be at every one of them, but Mississippians can.
Yeah.
So when you go in and you see something that, you know, just doesn't look quite right, please call us, call your local circuit clerk. If it's something that you think is criminal and may get out of hand, call your sheriff's department. Do something. You know, it's not enough just to walk in and go home. Be an active voter, active in making sure that the integrity of the process is upheld. And that's all of us. It isn't just our office. That's every Mississippian who goes and casts the ballot. They need to make sure their eyes are open and their ears are open and report what they see to us.
Yeah. Mississippi has scored some pretty big wins in the economic development category, and I think a lot of that could be attributed to a regulatory environment, a tax environment that is conducive to business expansion, investment, and growth. This is something you've had a high degree of focus on in your office. You've won some national awards with the Tackle the Tape program. How's that going?
Yeah, look, you know this as an entrepreneur, one of our successful stories here in Mississippi. Great story. If y'all have not heard it, y'all should ask him sometime. But, you know, Gerard, as you were a business owner, you would see regulations that thought, man, is this necessary? You know, those are the ones that we really want to encourage Mississippi business owners to report to us, because then we can go to the board or to the agency or to whomever, the legislature, and say, hey, look, you may not have thought about this, but this is hurting businesses.
Yeah.
How do we get rid of this? And as you mentioned, we just got our latest national recognition. The Secretaries of State from around the country, every year they elect the initiative that they see that's the best idea in the country.
Yeah.
And so the Tackle the Tape was awarded that from all secretaries around the country.
Yeah.
And the good thing is, it's not just Mississippi. I've got these secretaries now that are calling me, hey, how do we do that in our state? So when you're successful at something and people see it, how do we bring that to our office in our state? And so we're having a national reach here for Mississippi, and far too long we have this idea that, oh, we're just Mississippi. We are mighty Mississippi.
No doubt about it.
And so when I see the reach that we're having in the human trafficking space and the cutting regulation space and the election integrity space, people want to know what's going on here. And how do we bring that to our state? So I'm really proud of that.
Well, congratulations. I think it's been a great template, a great model that should be adopted nationwide. Unfortunately, as you well know, the deep blue states, they're on the other side of that issue. They continue to expand regulations and place more burdens on their business community, and that's why we're seeing an exodus out of many of these states. Mississippi is benefiting from that somewhat as well. I think these economic development projects that we have just landed, the word is getting out.
It is.
I think the word's getting out. The phone is ringing. I think we can expect more as a result of this, but hats off to all in our state government, including you, who have a lot of purview over the regulatory environment. And something else, is it not just inconvenient? It costs money to deal with all that.
Time and money.
Golly, it costs money. I'll give you an example that we could kind of relate to is the federal government just changed, with executive order, the overtime rules. I'm hearing so many of my business friends talk about the burden this is placing on them just to administer these goofy new overtime rules.
It's that. The Federal Department of Labor is looking at independent contractor status.
Exactly.
And how they can tear that up. Look, it's a full-time assault on the everyday American just trying to earn a living. And what we can do here in Mississippi, and it really underscores what you said, Gerard, of people looking at our state. You know this as a business owner, and you want certainty.
Yeah, absolutely.
When I see a state where I know the regulatory burden is, let's say, here, and then I've got this wild-eyed, crazy Secretary of State that just thinks he can cut the regulatory burden, and I see him in action, I know the regulatory burden is going to be lighter on me. That's where I'm going.
Man.
And so when they see that, I think it has a long-lasting impact, and we'll continue to see the benefits from the work we're doing.
Totally agree. Appreciate that. And you're also, your office has mounted a campaign to really get out and educate young folks about how important it is to participate in the political process, to understand the voting process.
That's right.
Everything related to that in the state of Mississippi. That's been received pretty well, is it not?
It has. One of the best things that we've done in office is our ambassador program. So we started this from Girl State, the 8 elected officials that come and visit with our statewide. One year I was the only statewide in town that day, so they all came into my office, and we dug through some ideas, and it hit me. These are our future leaders. What better time than now to get them engaged in the election process? And so out of that, our team came up with the idea of ambassadors, and so we every year we put applications out, and the first year we did it, we had 56 high school seniors. The next year, 67. This year we're at 70. It continues to grow because people are seeing this. It's not just talking about it, it's actually doing some work. And so we get these high school seniors, they come in, we teach them 3 things. Number 1, how do elections work in Mississippi? And how do I do a voter registration job in my high school to get my friends engaged in this process too? Number 2, we teach them about state government in general. If I'm passionate about an issue, where do I even start? How do I advocate for this issue that I want to see done in our state? And number 3, and most importantly, I think, is this idea that we can mentor these young students. And when we see they've got dreams and they've got goals, how can I help them move from this point in my life to being a successful career goal and minded individual and come back to Mississippi? And when they see that the Secretary of State actually cares, actually wants to help me succeed, that light bulb goes off, and they buy into the program. So really excited about that. Definitely one of the best things we've done. And again, I give a lot of credit to our team. You may know one of them, Alex Gifford. Does a great job. Wade Hinton, fantastic job. We've got just good people that care. And when you have that and you assemble a team like that, good things happen.
The most gratifying aspect of that to me, Mr. Secretary, is meeting those young people. It will sort of renew and refresh your optimism for our state. There's some future governors, et cetera, in that group.
100%. Well, and we do a really cool thing, and I don't know if you've heard about it or not, but in the afternoon we do 4 in-person sessions, 2 in Jackson and 1 in South Mississippi, 1 in North Mississippi, so they can kind of see the state. And then we do a month, every month we get on a Zoom call. Well, in the one we have in Jackson, we do a reverse Q&A where I ask them questions.
Okay.
And the things that I hear from them, some are really exciting. Some are, you know what, we've got some work to do.
Yeah.
But listening to them is really important.
And that helps shape your program.
That's exactly right.
So,
yep.
Mr. Secretary, always good to see you. Appreciate you coming on. Enjoy the Neshoba County Fair.
Thank you, and thank you for what you do. You have a long impact and a large impact in our state, so keep up the good work.
Appreciate it, Mr. Secretary. We're going to take a break right here. We're getting the cut sign from our next guest. That would be the Speaker of the House of the great state of Mississippi, Jason White.
I guess I should listen to him.
We're stepping aside for a break. We're at the Neshoba County Fair today, folks.